Welcome, everybody, to a special FBI After Dark. It is the DW Rant episode. I do want to say right off the bat, this is going to be about Robin Williams, R.I.P. to the man, the legend. He's not only a comedic icon, he's a great human being. And if you haven't, we're going to get right into this. If you haven't noticed the flood of social media, that's how we got our news. I was actually at my at Nub's family local pub, the Old Post Grill, and saw it on CNN, and it was shocking. As we're seeing the news, seeing social media, obviously you could see it over on facebook.com/Fanboys Inc., where I posted something a little bit personal, in respect to the man who helped me throughout the years. People don't seem to understand that, yes, they're celebrities, but they affect us. Yes, they're movies and so on. But each of these movies, for whatever actor, affects us in a certain way. With Robin Williams, his comedy hit me all the way back from Mork and Mindy. I mean, I'm dating myself, but I connected with that comedy. And even back then, you could see a sense of truth or an honesty even through his performance. I'm not choked up, but it kind of bothers me because, and this bothers me not only with Robin Williams, but anything on social media, somebody passing away, all of a sudden we have jokes. Now, Robin was a comedian, and I'm sure he may even laugh at some of these, as he's laughed at a lot of the things in his life. He's had a lot of turmoil, a lot of inner demons going on in his life through drugs, substance abuse, marital problems. But you know what? Show some fucking respect at this point. I mean, give me a break. It's too. I don't know if there's a good time, but really, it's just too fucking soon. And I'll tell you right now, I've deleted 10 friends off my list already. I have no time for that shit. It's not just because he's a celebrity. It's anything as far as a human being is concerned. And also, guys, we are live tweeting. So if you want to tweet your responses, or you have questions or comments, tweet us over at Fanboys Inc. And as always, I can't do an FBI After Dark without someone. So who better to have an FBI After Dark with than my good friend, Mr. Josh Epstein? Mr. Josh.
Can you hear me all right?
I cannot. What are you doing? There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the same stuff you did. You know, I know that there were a couple people, sort of semi-professional satirists that we both follow, and that kind of stuff was to be expected.
Of course.
But there's people use quote unquote too soon as a joke, but there is such a thing as too soon. I mean, within hours of a guy's death, if you're making jokes about it, like you said, yes, he was a comedian, and Robin Williams definitely did believe in the healing power of laughter.
Of course.
But for a lot of us, myself included, his work touched us in a lot of really meaningful and personal ways. I mean, as a child of, and this is getting a little personal, but I mean, as a child of a broken home, Mrs. Doubtfire actually meant a lot to me as a kid. Not that my own dad was quite as committed as he was in that movie, but the idea that that a dad would go to any lengths to be close to his kids is something that still resonates with me to this day. Good Will Hunting is a movie that I was actually watching it just before we got started here tonight. I did work from that show all through college. The Will and Skylar scenes and some of the scenes with Sean and Will, and for whatever reason, Robin Williams always had a way of pushing things so far that it got past your brain and went straight to your heart.
Oh, by far. He was ahead of his time way back in Mork and Mindy. I mean, and not only just his comedic performances, but his dramatic performances. Good Will Hunting. I mean, we can even talk about, a 1 Hour Photo. Wait, he was so diverse, so dynamic. I mean, this isn't just about a DW rant. I mean, we're going to talk about the life and times of Robin Williams. I mean, yes, he's a celebrity, and yes, people might even say, I'm waiting for the post going, 1,000, 2,000 people repost that a celebrity died, but not a military man. And that's a very gray area, and sometimes those people that do post that do bother me to a point. And not that the military don't affect us. I think about our military every day. We do what we do because of our military and our strength and what they do to protect us. For them to
but for me that argument has always had a really hard time holding true, because it's not one or the other, you know. And I'll tell you, I mean, I cried today when I heard the news about Robin Williams, because for a lot of reasons he's affected me really personally.
And me as well.
Even though I never met the man, like his work touched me deeply all throughout my life. But I won't say that I cried as hard as, for instance, when I found out that a friend of mine had been killed in the line of duty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to have an emotional reaction at somebody, you know, like Robin Williams passing away, doesn't take anything away from, you know, the respect and the honor and the sorrow that we feel when people like service members die, or when children are dying over in Africa due to, you know, sectarian struggle. We're emotional beings. We're capable of having reactions to more than one thing at the same time.
Exactly. Now, how do you feel as you being part of the military? You're going to feel differently than I'm going to feel. When you see this post from John Doe, whatever, saying, oh, well, Robin Williams died, and, you know, everybody shared his post, or you shared this, I guarantee you not any of my friends will share this post about a fallen hero. Does that upset you? It can't be one or the other, and you're calling out people, and you're kind of demeaning the fact that a person, a celebrity or an entertainer, has touched your life. Now you feel guilty because of the personal experiences that you got from this entertainment.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm never going to let anybody make me feel guilty for having that kind of reaction. And it's precisely like I said. I mean, when something touches you personally, it touches you personally. And social media, for better or for worse, is a place where people share that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know, it was the dawning age of social media when I had that other reaction that I talked about. And I didn't post a lot of stuff about that. But I'll tell you right now, I got just as many shares on the anniversary of that guy's death when I posted a picture in the newspaper article of him as I did anything that I shared related to Robin Williams. People do care. It's this false indignation. It's people who don't get a reaction when somebody like Robin Williams passes, that then feel like because they don't have a reaction, all these other people are having reactions, that they have to somehow invalidate the emotional response of people who were affected by it. And that's what kind of pisses me off. It's saying that this thing that you feel is not valid because it's not as important as this thing that I feel. And to those people, I would say, you know what, screw you. Feelings are feelings, and they're neither right nor wrong.
I totally agree with you. And I will not, and I agree with you, I'm not going to feel guilty because yes, I saw him on the big screen. I saw him on the small screen. I never shook his hand. I never met him. You're not going to make me feel guilty from the multiple personal experiences that this man has made for me. No. And it's got me through some tough times. I mean, it's just a TV show. You know what? Fuck you. You know what? That half hour or hour show got me through, and it may have reflected back on a personal experience in my life and made me understand a little bit more. And I think people seem to forget that. And that's what really bothers me, especially about these jokes. We got one tweet from Jason Moore. He's asking me what jokes did I see on my news feed. I don't want to necessarily call them out, but this Robbie Williams and all these other photos saying it's not Robin Williams.
I know we talked about that.
I know.
That's the one I mentioned. And I don't know, did you unfollow that person?
I did not. For that, we talked off pod, but he's not the only one. There are other people that I did unfollow. Like I said, I unfollowed 10 people right off the bat. I have time for this petty shit. If you are my friend on Facebook, yes, we have fans and we have people that we haven't seen, just like a Robin Williams, that affect us in our lives, and I respect that. But at the same time, there's 5 out of the 10 people are some of my close friends. Fuck you. If you don't like what I'm doing or you want to make a joke about this after a person had just died, go fuck yourself. I mean, this is how I feel. I mean, I don't care. And like I said in my post, woe is me. Woo, I got 10 less Facebook friends. I could give a shit. Seriously.
You know what I wish people would do more of is a lot, and maybe I've just been really selective about people that I follow on Twitter and people that I'm friends with on Facebook, but the majority of what I saw was actually all very positive stuff. It was things showing links to mental health organizations.
Mhm.
Robin Williams had a well-documented history of having substance abuse problems and with depression throughout his entire life. And I saw even people like Kelly Sue DeConnick putting out links to Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
And I think I saw one of my favorite ones was Arun Singh, formerly known as Agent M.
Yes.
Who
Yep.
put something out where he said that, if you or somebody are having trouble with depression, reach out. Somebody will be there for you. Hell, I'll be there for you because I've been there before. And so for all the tragedy that comes out of something like this, and my God, I mean, what his family must be going through right now, because if the the early reporting is true and it looks like it was a suicide, I can only imagine. I've lost a parent, but I can't even imagine what his wife and his daughter must be going through, knowing that the person that they loved so much
No,
saw so much darkness ahead that they couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And for somebody like him, who brought so much joy to people, so what I guess I kind of hope comes out of the whole thing is that awareness, that willingness for people to reach out and ask for help.
and and I agree, and totally understand. And this is the side topic of my DW rant, is that I'm sitting at the restaurant and people are watching the news, and there's a particular woman, and she goes, "Really?" And she brings up the military comments. You go, "Oh, well, nobody follows them or shares any of this as much as a celebrity." And then she goes, "Well, he allegedly killed himself. That's the easy way out. Why give a shit?" And I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a very touchy subject, like everything for FBI After Dark. I'm going to say this. I've been brought up by my parents telling me, you know what, you commit suicide, it's the easy way out. There's no respect for any of that, whether you're Catholic. I was brought up Catholic. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's very goddamn hard to kill yourself. And at the point where you're at that depression or that serious and that your true friends aren't noticing what's going on, it's on you. And it's not.
Well, there's a great quote from Robin Williams that I've seen posted a lot today, where he said, most of my life I thought that my problem was being alone. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that the problem is being with people who make you feel alone. And that's something that I absolutely identify with, this feeling of being completely alone in a crowded room. You and I talked the other night.
Mm-hmm.
While I was out having a drink by myself.
Yes, so
I'm surrounded by a bunch of people, celebrating a birthday. There's all this joy and merriment going on around me. I'm completely alone. I mean, particularly those of us, I think, who gravitate towards art and towards creativity have a tendency towards depression. It's just something that I've noticed, that people that are sensitive enough to want to create things are the same group of people a lot of times, if you were to Venn diagram this, I think you'd see a lot of crossover, who struggle with those things, who struggle with, asking themselves, is there really any reason to go on? I mean, heck, I know I've struggled with it. I struggled with major depression issues, particularly as a young teenager.
Myself.
And I still do to this day. I mean, it's an everyday battle to find reasons to go on. And for me, I'm lucky enough that I have two wonderful reasons and two little girls to go on every day. So like for me, it's no question. I found myself thinking as I was looking at some great video of Robin Williams with his daughter Zelda, and wondering, is this something that he's thought about doing for a long time, and now maybe feels like she's old enough that she doesn't need him anymore. And maybe that's why he chose to do it now.
Do you feel that it's an easy way out? I feel
I
that
don't.
I don't.
No, if it were easy, I wouldn't be here today.
Exactly. And I'm tired of people saying that.
I mean, we're
and
hardwired against it. We're hardwired against it as human. Well, not just religion. I mean, as humans, we are hardwired to survive. It's our most basic instinct, is to survive. So to be able to be in such a deep, dark place that it overcomes that natural born instinct, and you're capable of ending it all, that's an extraordinarily, dark power that you're
very
facing.
much so.
And
you feel like you're in a hole in that. And I mean, I've dealt with depression, major depression throughout my life as well. I mean, I think everybody's had a bout of depression in their life, and maybe nobody wants to admit it, but I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there have thought about it, about committing suicide, or thought what would happen. And when you're at that point, either you're not thinking 100% clearly because you are in a state of depression, which is considered like a disease.
Depression. I mean, mental illness is an illness. Let's make no bones about that.
Well, let's clarify mental illness, though, Josh.
People who try and dismiss depression. Let's just be really specific in this case. Yeah. People who try and dismiss depression and say, get over it, suck it up, man up, grow some balls.
Fuck you.
Exactly. I mean, I was on antidepressants from the time I was 9 until I was 13. But eventually had to learn to cope without it because it made me all dull. And somebody like Robin Williams, I think, who is so far beyond my personal creative capacity, the power of those. If I was driving a 4-cylinder, Robin Williams was driving a V8 in terms of what his brain was capable of. And just like any vehicle, when that one goes off the road, the more powerful the engine, the harder the impact.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
And somebody like him, I know that he had sought help. I mean, he's been in and out of rehab. He's been in and out of mental health facilities.
And he was sober at the time. Let's point this out right now, that he was sober as of this morning when he passed.
And I mean, this is somebody who has who devoted his life, both his professional life and in his personal life, towards trying to help people through hard things. One of the things I posted as soon as I read the news was...
It was an amazing post. It was a great post.
Oh, God. And what's most amazing to me, when I was just a little kid, I mean, obviously, anybody who listens to this knows that I idolized Superman. I idolized Christopher Reeve as a little kid. Yep. And when he had his accident, it was soul-crushing. But I was lucky enough, a few years after his accident, he came and spoke at a motivational conference in Kansas City, and he told this story from his book. And I'm paraphrasing here, but when he said that, in the days immediately following his accident, he was facing a really risky surgery to reattach his spine to the base of his skull. It's like a 50-50 chance of survival. And he's laying there in bed trying to figure out how he can, in his current condition, commit suicide, because he just doesn't want to go on anymore. He doesn't want to live his life like this. They've told him that there's no way he'll ever walk again, no way he's ever going to have feeling below the neck again. And as he's laying there in this horribly, horribly dark place, a tiny little fuzzy man in yellow scrubs and a blue surgical cap comes bursting in, screaming in a Russian accent that he's his proctologist and he has to give him an exam immediately. And he starts laughing, and that's the first time since his accident that he had laughed, and that was the moment he knew it had been okay, or it was going to be okay. And of course, that man was none other than his old college roommate and best friend of 20 years, Robin Williams. Those two guys swore an oath to each other when they were at Juilliard that whichever one made it, they would take care of the other one. And of course, they both made it. Weirdly enough, the third roommate in that situation was Jay Leno, which how weird is that? But
very weird, very weird.
I'm somebody who's got to be having a hard time right now. We like to think of these Hollywood people as being invincible, but I mean,
they're human beings.
And I mean, if you're Jay Leno tonight, how awful do you feel?
Oh, by far.
You've lost your two best friends, one to a horrible accident and degenerative illness, and one to another form of degenerative illness in depression.
And the bigger thing beyond this is at the time with Christopher Reeves, Robin Williams was not sober, dealing with his own internal demons. And you know what? Taking your time out to help somebody else is even bigger than, and he's still dealing with his internal demons. And he had always held out a lending hand. He always spent more time helping others. Now, some people could say, well, maybe if you spent more time, those are the same people that are putting one-liner jokes out on Facebook or social media at this very moment. The man gave everything to so many people, whoever he physically or personally touched, or touched you and I through a movie, or a comment or anything like that. That's
Well,
huge. That's
and
an awesome human being.
And it's the beyond just the individual enjoyment that we all got out of his work. It's the shared moments that he created. You know, I guarantee you that anybody who was with somebody when they saw him live is talking to that person right now. For me, one of the most powerful things was, I mean, I had a terrible relationship with my parents coming out of high school, and my freshman year, I go home and I've got with me a copy of Robin Williams Live on Broadway on DVD. And my mom comes in, I'm sitting in my room all depressed because I'm stuck back at home for the holidays, and I ask her if she'd like to watch this with me. And so my mom and I, for the first time in probably 5-10 years, sit down and just laugh hysterically together. And it was the big, my mother and I having an actual real relationship, and it's thanks to Robin Williams being who he was. I mean, he brought my mother almost to tears with how hard she was laughing at that comedy show, and that's a priceless experience to me. And I guess my real hope for all the nonsense that people are spreading out there, that it's outweighed by thoughts of love and feelings of gratitude towards what he brought us, and that wherever he is, I doubt very much that he feels depressed and alone right now, because I guarantee you that if he's looking down and seeing how much he really meant to people, then he understands that, exactly how much he meant to us.
I totally agree with you. And like I said in my post, he may be sitting there laughing at some of these jokes, but at the same time, maybe not. Robin Williams is the first one to cross many lines in comedy, in his TV shows with Mork
and do many lines during comedy.
And do many lines by far, and dealing with that. He was the first Charlie Sheen, winning. I mean, come on. I mean,
I've performed on one of the same stages. Robin Williams has this one video from the 80s. It was his HBO special that he did in the early 80s.
Yes.
And it was at Boatorium in Los Angeles at USC. And it's infamous for, you can track it. At the beginning, he's bouncing off the walls and just going wild and crazy. And then by about minute 45, he looks like he's about to crash. So he just walks off the stage for about 30 seconds
to go do a bump
and is bouncing off the walls again.
To do a bump.
Yeah, and you knew exactly what he had just done. He had gone off stage, he'd done a bump, and he came back and was ready to rock and roll. And like I say, I've performed on that stage, and there was something about standing there and being like, there's, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, maybe it's a performer thing, but on any stage, there's an essence that gets embedded into it by the people that inhabit that space.
Yep.
And that kind of energy never goes away. I mean, I performed on that stage probably half a dozen times in college. I played, I don't know if I should say this, I played some After Dark poker games on that stage, and you could always sort of feel that presence. I mean, he'd been there, George Carlin had been there, I mean, dozens of amazing people have been on that stage, but you could always sort of feel that. If I were still living in LA, I guarantee you that's where I'd be tonight.
Oh, I totally understand that to a point. I mean, I acted a little bit in through high school. I get the same feeling when we do a live performance, through the podcast. It's not necessarily on a stage, but it's the same general euphoric feeling, and with him, we know that he was doing a lot of cocaine. He was drinking a lot, and one of my good friends had posted about this after seeing one of our posts or my posts. The people that make us laugh the most are the crying the most inside, and that is so Robin Williams, and that's probably so many comedians, and that may even be not even a professional comedian. Think about this when in the person in your life, a person in your personal life who's always the joke at the party, always the funniest, always making you laugh, and you think his life is great. Do you know what happens behind closed doors? Do you know that he may be covering that comedy up with something so internal, so bad, so dark, that you have no idea, and something like this, like a suicide or a passing or a drug overdose, happens. And I think with Robin, I think he used comedy as a therapy, and enough was enough.
Well, what's interesting is, I mean, you know that I creep around some of the darker corners of the internet, and one of the things that somebody posted up there was a link to a whole segment of text from one of his comedy routines, and as with a lot of comics, George Carlin is the one besides Robin Williams that really comes to mind.
Yep.
They delve into some really dark subject matter. They, just like the comedian in Watchmen, they see the world. A lot of them are so intelligent that they see the world as it really is.
Leave it to you to bring the comic book into this conversation. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, it's very true. I mean, there's a reason that Alan Moore chose the name The Comedian for that character, because so many times those are the people that look beyond the veil of popular culture and see the darkness that's really out there in the world. And Robin Williams talked about that. He talked about how every now and again his left brain really gets going, and that's when he gets into, he got into some of the really dark conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw a lot of the darkness in the world, and as somebody that's gone down that rabbit hole a couple of times, I can tell you that it's scary as hell. It really is, and if that's some of the stuff that he's been battling with, I mean, God knows, I mean, he's 30 years older than I am. I mean, he's been dealing with it for a hell of a lot longer than I have,
right.
And to a certain extent, as long as he has.
I agree. I mean, and that's the suicide thing, and people giving him shit for committing suicide, nothing, he's a piece of shit now. That's what caused me to do this podcast tonight, this After Dark. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm so tired of hearing it. Whether it's a celebrity, military, you're civilian, whatever, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't give a shit. And I was brought up that way because we were Catholic, and you don't commit suicide because you're not going to go to heaven. I'm really fucking tired of hearing that shit. I am. And that's what really irked me most about it. It wasn't even just the jokes and the ignorance of everything. It was that. That was the ignorance of that. Going, oh, well, you know what? Screw him. Yeah, you committed suicide.
Somebody that brought as much joy to the world as Robin Williams did. I mean, even if there were some sins he had to deal with, I mean, my personal hope is that the amount of loving prayers lifted up for him and his family will lift him up. And, I guarantee you Superman's waiting at the pearly gates for him.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. And screw everybody that doesn't think that's going to happen. Now, we're ranting, and we're talking about, all the negative stuff. But, Josh, let's talk about, and you can get as personal as you want or not, some of your favorite moments for Robin. What was some of the ones that stood out? Was it Good Will Hunting? Was it Hook? Was it what movie or what moment for you just resonates with you maybe in your personal life?
It's changed over the years. I mean, as a little kid, like I said, it was Mrs. Doubtfire for me.
Okay.
Because I fantasized, that maybe my own dad would do that. And as I've gotten older, that movie's taken on a different meaning and reminded me, as somebody that was separated from my kids, exactly how far you should go, what kind of sacrifices you should be willing to make to be close to your kids. Good Will Hunting, like I said earlier, has meant a lot to me over the years. Those are most likely the big two. But at the same time, I mean, all of the work that I remember him in. I mean, I was never a huge fan of Good in Vietnam. That one was always, for whatever reason, just kind of really hard for me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember ever seeing him in anything that I was not in awe of his performance. And speaking as an actor, the level of commitment that he would bring to whatever he chose to lend his talents to was second to none. What's weird is the person working today that I would compare him most closely to is Jim Carrey, and not just because they both started as comedians, but because they both have that fearlessness to them that says, I don't care if you think I look stupid, I don't care if you think I sound stupid, I don't care if I am being stupid. I'm going to give this 1,000% and either help me out or get the hell out of my way.
Right. I totally agree. As far as I know so much about Mrs. Doubtfire that resonates with you, and I get that. For me, I think it was Hook. I mean, I've always had that Peter Panish feeling, but with that movie and it was Robin Williams. It wasn't any other Peter Pan movie, wasn't any other rendition. For some reason, Hook really resonated with me, and he portrayed it, and he made it okay that you're a 40, 30-something-year-old man and you could still be young at heart. And there's a lot of things in that movie that were, as far as the dialogue, the content, really resonated with me. And me remembering from 5 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, it just resonated. And not many actors can do that for me. And the other thing was Mrs. Doubtfire, just because of my upbringing. It's probably similar to yours. We've never chatted off pod about it, but it's very similar to yours. And those things, till the day I die, will resonate with me. And the acting and the performance from him, he just came across. And you see with actors, there's people that act and there's people that do. And I'm not sure if this is the right way I'm saying this, and maybe you would understand better than the general public. You feel that he knows what he's doing. It's not just words off a script. He is that character. He is generating, either it's a personal life experience or it's something, whatever, that a small moment in his life. He's taking that and putting it in that moment, and you really see that. And I think that's what affects a lot of us, whether it's Robin Williams or an actor that's still alive today. That's what you know makes a great actor.
Well, I know a little bit about the school of acting that Robin Williams studied at, and I can tell you that he was one of those actors who gets into a headspace, who inhabits a role, and I think that says a lot about the roles that he chose. They were places that he wanted to go, and that's something that I've always tremendously respected. But I also think it's why his performances were so powerful. But there's a vulnerability to that. It's exposed. One of my greatest acting teachers told me that their philosophy was, we all have it in us to be every kind of person. It's just all about activating dormant aspects of yourself. And for somebody that played such a wide variety of characters over the life of his career, Robin Williams is someone who explored every corner of himself. And as those of us that have struggled with depression, as you know, that when you go to every corner, that means going to the dark corners too.
Oh, of course. And you even seen that in his acting. Look at 1 Hour Photo. If that's not a Robin Williams dark corner, I don't know what is. And I'm wondering if some of his own, soul or personal essence came out in that role. And then you see him in Aladdin, which is another part of Robin Williams. I think that's what's so dynamic about him, is that I think we see some of himself in each one of these roles. And that's what makes a great actor and what makes a great human being. Do you agree?
I would. He's exposing parts of himself that may not be active in his everyday life, but I've played psychos. I've played people like his character in 1 Hour Photo, and one of the most disturbing things about succeeding in a performance like that is that you are capable of getting there. I remember in college working with a piece about a serial killer, and the first time I had what they call an actor thought, or not an actor thought, but a character thought in that scene, which is where you're not thinking as the actor thinking about the character, you're thinking as the character thinking about what's going on in the moment. And I was working opposite my buddy Adam Ray, and I said something, and I can't remember the line right now, and on his face I saw a look of fear, and I got this sick thrill that he was afraid of me.
That's amazing, though. But that's amazing.
And everybody in the room, particularly the ladies in the class, you could hear this audible, like, because all of a sudden, you're inhabiting this. You become that person, and that's terrifying for anybody that witnesses that person come to life. And it's even more terrifying for the person who goes there, because then the rest of the day you're asking yourself, wow, I'm capable of getting there. Am I a serial killer?
Right. Now, do you think that it's the opposite of Robin Williams, that the character inhabited Robin? There was more of Robin Williams than the actual character?
I don't know that I remember any performances where that really seemed to be the case.
Okay.
I think he was a person of tremendous sensitivity and tremendous openness. So I think he was one of
very
those
open.
actors that was capable of really doing anything. I think that he was, one of those rare people who you put the book in his hand and tell him to go, and you're going to see the person from the page come to life right in front of you,
Right.
No matter who it is. And that sort of openness, they talk a lot in occult circles about people who are extraordinarily sensitive are always the first ones to be touched by any kind of darkness. I was listening to Coast AM the other night, and they were talking about cursed objects, like objects with power, like a deathbed from Central Africa that haunted people who owned it. And it's always the people that are the most kind, the most sensitive, and the most open-hearted that are most affected by that stuff. So whatever darkness, I think, afflicted Robin Williams, some of it was there in him to begin with, but people like him are affected more than most of us by the darkness in the world.
And he's in the public eye. So I would assume that even it makes it harder for him, that he's judged at all times.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Well, hey, sir, I need to wrap this up. I have to go deliver some baked goods to my girls for their first day of school in the morning.
That's okay, because we got a few people who want to call in.
Okay, well, if you guys are still going when I get back, I'll holler you up and say hi. I hope, my final word on it will be, don't be a dick. Offer up positivity. I'm a firm believer in some old religion stuff, and that whatever you put out there will come back to you threefold. So I would prefer to think that people will find some great quote from me when I die, rather than making stupid-ass jokes.
Yes, today is not the day for hate mail, assholes.
No, it's really not. It's really not. All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, man. Peace.
Later.
All right, guys. Mr. Philip Broyles, if you'd like to call in, I saw that you just chatted and you want to chime in. I know that you wanted to voice your opinion. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to call you. How about that? We're just going to call you and call you out. And let's see, we got Mr. Broyles.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Philip Broyles from RSRG, Fanboys Inc. RSRG. What's up, sir?
Sad day, man. Sad day.
Very sad day. Now, you've been listening, I'm sure?
Yes, sir.
You know that a DW rant is usually something special in a way. And you saw the post, and I know that you responded on that, and you were one of the first ones to say that we should do an FBI After Dark. If you've been listening, Josh and I talking about pretty much that, it is too soon. There is a time and place for this. Granted, he's a comedian or not. I don't know if you've seen it on your feed. Like I've said, I've deleted 10 friends already, whether it's petty or not. I just don't have time for that bullshit. There needs to be respect as a human being, not just because it's a celebrity, whether you know him or not, he's affected you in your life. How do you feel about just the generalization of that as far as making jokes and being the asshole too soon in a party?
I just don't think this is a joking matter. I mean, mental health is such an important thing that gets looked over by everybody, really. I mean, doctors look over it, especially religious doctors look over it. It's just not taken serious, and this is something, suicide's not something you joke about. I don't care if it's a teenager or a 63-year-old actor or, somebody who's a nobody. Suicide's not a joke. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
No, and I agree with you. I mean, and if you were listening, my biggest thing about throughout the years, and it's not just about Robin Williams and, rest in peace. It's the fact of anybody who commits suicide, people out there is like it's taking the easy way out, and I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. If you ever thought about killing yourself, you are in a deep state of depression. You're in a bad state in your life, and no offense, it's on your friends. And that's how I feel. If your friends don't know the shit that you're going through, and that's how you feel. You don't have friends. Nobody can help you, or they're not paying attention to you. This is not somebody who's an attention whore who wants to be the life of the party. they're at the point of their life where they don't know how to get out, and everybody's like, oh, well, toughen up, that's life. You guys are assholes. And now when they do commit suicide, your excuse is, well, they took the easy way out. They couldn't get help. How do you know they weren't asking? How do you know that Robin Williams wasn't asking? And I'm not saying that to his family or any of his companions because I don't know the situation. But don't sit there and say, oh, I'm so sorry. I feel bad for Robin Williams. He was a great entertainer. Oh, and then 10 minutes later when you find out on CNN that it's allegedly that he committed suicide, now he's a piece of shit? No, you're the piece of shit. And this is what got me the most. Not just the jokes that I've seen on social media. I got this from where I was in a public place, and the lady was saying it, and I pretty much cashed out. I'm like, because I know I respect the place that I'm at, I probably would have opened my mouth and said something. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to. That's when I posted it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put it out. I have my forum. I have Fanboys Incorporated. I have a podcast to voice my opinion. I'm going to do it that way. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to do that. And I just feel that stereotypical thought is bullshit. Whether you're Catholic or Christian, suicide is nothing. You're never going to heaven. That's bullshit. And I think we're too far. In 2014, we're still thinking of these arcane beliefs.
Oh, I agree. I mean, for me, this has been a tough week anyways. I mean, on this weekend, we buried my one of my close friends' 2-year-old daughter. And then I see this, and, like, people just don't understand that, I get it. You need religion to cling to, but you can't throw religion as the reason that shit like this happens. I mean, you can't, like, for instance.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Like, I don't get people who says it's the easy way out. I mean, anyone who's entertaining, I'm sorry, more than likely they're suffering from some form of depression. I mean, I'm included. We all want people to pay attention to us. I mean, there's a reason we do what we do. It's a self-expression, but it takes a little bit of depression to make someone be an entertainer. Okay. And we have, the Robin Williamses, the Heath Ledgers. I mean, all of these great actors and entertainers that we look at and we're like, people think that they're taking the easy way out or it's their fault. I mean, addiction, mental health, these are health issues that need to be talked about, and people need to, go the extra step to help other people. I mean, a lot of people who is suffering, they're not going to talk about it very often. You have to pay attention and be a friend.
No,
don't
totally.
talk shit about them.
And I think that's what it comes down to. We go through our day in, day out activities, and we have friends, we have close friends, we have acquaintances, and that's life, toughen up, because that's the first thing you want to say, because you're dealing with your own shit. You don't want to deal with somebody else's. Well, Robin Williams was dealing with a lot of internal demons throughout years. And just like Josh had said, with Christopher Reeve, that guy was still doing cocaine, a ton of drugs, and probably in a state of depression. And what does he do? He goes out of his way to make a great friend feel amazing after a life-changing event. And that says a lot. And a lot of people need to take notes. Just like in my post. If you're reading it, if you read my post, or you are the assholes on my friends list that are making jokes, if I haven't unfriended you, unfriend me now, because I really have no time for your ignorant bullshit. Take some notes from Robin Williams, not only because he's an actor or an entertainer, it's because he's a great human being. And, the reason why we know he is because he's an entertainer. He's in the public eye. How about you step back and look at a friend in your life or a person in your life and reflect back and maybe reach out to that person instead of being a douchebag and making dumbass jokes and causing people to feel bad because we are respecting someone's death. He's a human first and foremost. Yes, he's an entertainer and a celebrity. I may never have met him, but first and foremost, he's a fucking human being. How about you show some respect? And that's the biggest thing for me, is that showing respect. You don't like what I'm posting on my Facebook? Unfriend me. You don't like listening to this podcast? Fucking unsubscribe. I really don't give a shit. I want true friends, true fans. And this. You're part of the network, and we came together. I only deal with real people. You don't like it? Tough shit. I don't care. And that's what really got me about this is all of a sudden we get all these people jumping on, oh, you think you're funny by putting Robbie Williams up? No, you're a douchebag. How about show some respect? Oh, well, you might get a couple likes out of it. Well, there's other douchebags out there. You know, Robin Williams has been dealing with this for years. And, you know, we could be saying, people could yell at us because we're not talking about this because of a regular person, a non-celebrity. I shouldn't say regular person, a non-celebrity. No, but the celebrity is bringing awareness. Unfortunately, it was his passing. We've talked about this in the past, and it might even not on pod, but I've talked about Robin Williams and the problems that he's gone through. He's in the public eye. He's making these things aware to people of the internal problems that are going on. He is like I don't want to say a spokesperson per se, but in a way he is. He's showing that I'm dealing with my internal demons. I'm helping others. I'm using comedy. At
one of the
point,
things too.
Go ahead.
One of the things too is as recent as a couple of months ago, he checked himself into rehab not because he was on drugs, but just to get check of his life. I mean, he was working. I mean, it's not like he was giving up, and he worked as hard as he could, and then I guess he felt he did all he could do. I mean, it's sad to say that, but he was trying. You know what I mean?
Do you think there comes a point in one's life where even friends may not be able to help you? And should you be ostracized for that? And I'm not talking like you're insane, but there comes a point when you can't get out of that hole and you get ostracized for that, and that's just not right. And I think it's society as a whole. What do you think about that, Phil?
I mean, people treat people. It's just an issue that in America we just kind of pretend it doesn't happen or it doesn't exist or it doesn't.
Turn a blind eye to it.
Right, and like I'm not one who usually would stand up for Dr. Drew, but he's brought a lot of points today about, he is somebody who's suffered from, he was an addict. He suffered from depression from an early point. Not only that, he was on medication for heart issues, and a lot of cardiac patients go through depression. And, it's even been documented that Robin Williams himself went through a depression after having his surgery in 2007 on his heart. I mean, these are all things that we act like it's the person and they're weak, and they're not. It's just we don't know what he's going through. We can't put ourselves in his shoes.
Exactly. And that's the thing. If you can't deal with a situation, but another person can, you're automatically weak. You're not dealing with their life experiences. You're not dealing with their family. You have no fucking right to say that by any means.
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's take the mental health out of it. Are you weak if you have cancer and you want to tap out? I mean, it's not. There's people who it happens all the time that they don't really give up, but they just they know their time is done here, and they made peace with it. And sometimes with mental health, it's the same way. You make peace with it.
I agreed. I mean, and if you get no outside help, all it takes is one person. It really does. And I'm not saying this in Robin Williams' case that nobody reached out to him, but he's been dealing this for years, and maybe just enough was enough. His latest TV show on CBS was really bad. It was a failure in his mind. That could have done something.
That's one of the things that was sad to me is he thought a lot of his career was a failure.
Yes,
and
he did.
I mean, he was so successful. He thought just because he only won one Oscar that was not a success. I mean, to be nominated in that industry is a huge fucking deal.
Big deal.
But to him, not winning was, I guess, made him think he wasn't one of the best out there, or he wasn't doing a good job.
And you know what that's caused from? Society.
I would agree.
That's society as a whole. Whether I win first place in a track meet or I'm in fourth, I'm gonna feel like shit because I didn't get first, because nobody gives a shit about anybody after first place. Second place is the first loser. That's our society as a whole. And I think, and I'm not saying society caused people overall to commit suicide or Robin Williams, but there is a point to be said that the general stereotype and the consensus, you're too busy dealing with your own shit that you can't deal with a friend. So when your friend does commit suicide, the first thing you're going to say is, well, he took the easy way out. How about you take responsibility for your fucking lack of actions, and maybe you should have been there. And I'm not saying that just for Robin Williams. I'm not saying that about the family. I'm not saying about his friends. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that they didn't do anything. But I'm saying in general, because the same person that'll tell you, oh, well, he took the easy way out, is the first person not to take responsibility for their own fucking actions. And I think that's the whole general topic of this FBI After Dark, is the fact, stand up, have some fucking balls, and take responsibility for goddamn actions, and stop blaming others. Now you're blaming somebody who's 6 feet under. You're blaming them for taking the easy way out because you wouldn't take that extra hour out of your day because your car was being worked on or something. You know what? That's all it takes. And more people need to realize that. Stop, slow down, take some time out of your day, and reconnect with a fucking person in your life. Fucking turn your phone off. Now, this is the pot calling the kettle black, because you know me. You know how connected I am. And fucking take some time and do some person-to-person fucking contact. And reach out to a friend. Reach out to somebody. It doesn't have to be your best friend that you see every day. How about the person you haven't talked to in a couple weeks? Call them up, have coffee, do something. That might save a life. That might do something. And people don't do that. They're all consumed with their own personal bullshit, and they don't give a fuck when it comes down to it. Even our best friends don't fucking give a shit unless it's what they think is life-threatening. Now, people don't announce that they're going to commit suicide. There are signs, obviously, but they're so consumed with their own life that they have no idea what's going on. And that's what bothers me, that they don't take blame. Take responsibility. I'm not saying, oh my God, sit there and, oh my God, it was my fault, oh my God, and mourn for the rest of your life, or you commit suicide. But just sit back and realize, maybe if I took just that hour, maybe I took this, and don't do it for that person that's already passed away. Do it for your next friend. Stop the chain. Stop doing this. Don't be the asshole of posting Robbie Williams pictures. Oops, I forgot. I thought it was the Robin Williams. You can go fuck yourself. And do it hard and dry. I could care less. This topic really has been driving to me, and unfortunately it was the passing of Robin Williams for me to really get into this. I've been dealing with this for a long time, and this is all pent-up stuff. Take some time out of your life. We are so filled with technology and online and Twitter and our phones and our computers. What happened to the handshake, man? What happened to let's go have coffee? Let's go to the park. Let's do something. Get outside a little bit. Those all mean a lot. Now that I'm ranting and we've been doing on the down note, and you called in, favorite Robin Williams moment, Phil?
Well, for me, I'm younger than you and Josh. So
what the fuck are you trying to say, Phil?
That Jumanji, it's a kids movie.
Yes.
But for me, that was a movie that it was a family movie for me, because my family, we played the game. We because of the movie and the performance, that the thing I'm trying to get at is his career was so long and it meant so much to so many different generations. I mean, the guy started on Mork and Mindy, and he was working on 5 projects at the time of his death.
That was his highest time during cocaine too. Mork and Mindy, yeah. He was hired in a fucking kite every episode. Not that I condone being on cocaine or doing drugs. I mean, shit, Kevin Smith's one of my biggest fans, and that man's higher than the kite. And he still performed, and maybe he was hiding shit, his personal feelings, but he still performed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's cool about his career is, like, you can see, even when he was battling with his addiction, or he was clean or sober, he was funny.
Oh, by far.
Funny's funny. It doesn't give a fuck what you do. Funny is funny. And he was able to be funny in a one-man show, or doing stand-up, or, I'm not the biggest Mrs. Doubtfire fan, but it's a funny movie. Flubber. I mean, the kid. It's crazy that a guy like that can do a kids movie and then go and do Good Will Hunting. He was talented. Not only was he a comedian, he was a talented actor. Now, I consider him comedian first, but he is a talented actor as well.
Agreed. I mean, you saw 1 Hour Photo, Good Will Hunting, Aladdin as a voice actor.
The cool thing about Aladdin is they said they let him in the room, and he really didn't go by script. He made most of that shit up, and they just picked and chose what they liked. I mean, there's a reason that Aladdin, when you watch Aladdin and the sequels and shit, Robin Williams isn't a part of it. It's not as good.
No, of course not. Of course not.
He had a special contract with them where they couldn't use the voice in commercials and shit because he didn't like the advertisements that they were promoting. So, he not only was he a smart businessman and an actor, he just cared about what he did. I mean, he didn't just do it for the money. I mean, some of the projects maybe, but most of the shit he gave a fuck about.
No, I agree with you 110%. Now, getting back to the topic, how do you feel about we do jokes on Inkcast, we do jokes on RSRG, we rarely do jokes on Infinite Crossover just because of the podcast.
Right.
But how do you feel about I'm talking fucking less than 30 minutes. We have assholes thinking they're funny. It's not respectful. Why all of a sudden, because a celebrity passes away, we think we're all fucking cool and we're going to put the shit out? How do you feel about that, Phil?
I mean, I'm lucky I haven't saw any of that on my feed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you got some good friends then. Or ones that at least keep quiet.
Well, most of mine are like really hardcore, comedian fans. Like, we all love comedy.
Right.
If you're a fan of comedy, you can't not love Robin Williams. Right. I mean, that was the first thing I called somebody and I was like, Robin Williams is dead and we just lost a funny comedian. That was, to me, he's such a legend that he means so much. Even like, I'm not an actor. I don't fucking claim to be an actor. I'm not a comedian. I'm just kind of, I'm more of a journalist.
Right.
And I kind of make it funny. It's just what I try and do.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess those kind of things rub off, but at the same time, I'm blessed to be around people that don't make jokes like that. And I saw some jokes that were tasteful that I think, he would enjoy, that, not negative jokes. You know what I mean?
I understand. And like I said in my post, you saw my post, he may have laughed.
Right.
Whether or not he would have laughed at these jokes or not, it's still not right.
The jokes I saw were like, stand-up style jokes. But what was cool is seeing all these comedians, and they're taking it so serious. I mean, Chris Rock come out and all he did was say, we lost a funny man today.
Right.
I mean, they could have made a joke.
If the comedians, the professionals, and friends that were really connected in his life don't make jokes about this, shut the fuck up. You have no right. Granted,
it's not our business to make the jokes. We're not the funny ones.
Right, exactly. And if you think you are, you're not. Like I said, I deleted 10 friends today. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't have time for that. If you know me, then you wouldn't put that on my wall. It's social media. It's free. It's freedom of speech. You can do whatever you want. I don't have to fucking listen to it. That's when, if you have something to say in a bar, you have every right to state your opinion. I don't have to listen to it. I have every right to get up and walk away. And I do. I may voice my opinion before I leave. I get up and walk away. Same thing on Facebook. You think it's petty? I don't need to see your shit. I don't. I really don't. If professional comedians aren't making jokes who actually were in his life and can say they're best friends or friends with him, then you should not be doing shit. And if you can't respect the man, then keep your mouth shut and keep your fingers off your fucking keyboard. That's how I feel about it. Now, there is a time and a place, I guess. We've joked. I've joked on deaths. I'm not going to say I'm not. I'm not going to be hypocritical here. I've done it. Not like within minutes, not within days even. You have a time of mourning and respect out of this. This is what I'm saying. Listen, fucking, I guarantee you Ralph Garman's going to be saying some shit. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
he's going to be saying some shit, and it's a week away. Are we going to give him shit for it? We might. It depends on what kind of joke it is. You know, take it with a grain of salt to a point. I am not going to take anything with a grain of salt within 30 minutes of the man being of the announcement that the man passed. Yes, he passed in the morning, and because of their PR and his agents and everybody else, they kept it quiet until earlier this evening. But I still respect it. And if you can't, I don't have to deal with you. If you don't like it, you're going to send me a nasty direct message because I unfriended you? Tough shit. You think I care? If you were a good friend of mine, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. You would have known how it affected me. And you wouldn't be upset why I unfriended you and wanted to see that shit. I think as a society as a whole, we only care about us. And I think even Mr. Murphy just started, I think Murphy just showed up. And he says it's unfortunately we live in a me society. Now, obviously, like you were saying, Phil, why do we entertain? One, because we enjoy it. Two, because we want to voice our opinion or entertain others. But when it comes down to it, it's for us, is it not? We love doing it. We want to be heard. We want to give something back to the society. We want to give entertainment. But deep down at the end of the night, when we go to bed, it's because it makes us feel good. So it is it's a me thing individually for how we entertain, but we need to stop doing that in the rest of our lives.
Yeah, in order to be an entertainer, I mean, you gotta love to hear your own voice. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it's true. I mean, even though I hate listening to myself, at the same time, I want other people to listen to me, and it's just, even if it's in my writing or if it's in my podcasting or just me telling a story at the comic book store, I want people to listen. I want to put on a show. And like I said, I don't really consider myself an entertainer, but we are. I mean, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now if we, weren't some form of entertainment to somebody.
Exactly. Are we professionals? We might skirt that line here and there, but we're entertainers. We got fans. People listen to us. We fucking got 25 listeners right now. That's more than that's more right now. We have 25 live listeners right now. That's more than I sell comics. I'm telling you right now, because I know that. So we are entertainers. So don't tell yourself we're not. We are entertainers here, and we have something to say, and people want to hear what we have to say. They may agree or disagree with us, but that's life, and that's how it is. And it gets back to why I started this, was because I'm tired of hearing either suicide is the easy way out or why you wasting your time on a celebrity, you never met them. I don't need to meet a person in person to have them affect my life. What if it's a writing? What if I read a book? What if I read a biography of someone that touched my life? They passed, but they touched my life so bad, and they passed, and now I'm getting ostracized because I say something on Facebook, you're truly going to be missed, you affected my life. I'm weak and I'm an idiot because I never met them. You don't know what my personal experiences are. You don't know what fucking Robin Williams did for me with Hook or Mrs. Doubtfire or Good Will Hunting or Good Morning Vietnam. I mean, come on. I mean,
the last time I was affected this hard, and I got a lot of shit for it, was I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. I don't,
right.
It's controversy, but fuck, that dude's music. I mean, it inspired me from when I was a kid. I love it. I still love it today. I mean, and
it inspired many generations, man.
Yeah, and you see, I just felt the same way seeing Robin Williams pass as I did seeing, Michael Jackson pass.
I can understand that. I can totally understand that. And I can see people jumping on your shit real quick. Quick. Because of what he's done in his personal life.
Right. Especially for the Michael Jackson situation. I know the good thing about Robin Williams is, he may have had some demons that he dealt with, but they weren't stuff that we don't all deal with. You know what I mean?
How so?
Like, we all deal with depression. We all, we may not all have addictions to, drugs, but we're all addicted to something.
Oh, we are. Everybody has a vice. I don't care what you say, you got a vice. I don't have any vices. Do you drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee every day? Guess what? It's your fucking vice.
Well, I mean, social media itself is a vice.
Oh, by far. I mean, I don't know if that's my vice. I'll be honest, maybe I'm in denial, but you know me, I'm on 12, 13 hours a day. But I say that it's because of work. Is it really? You know, we could get into that's a whole different topic, man. But everybody has a vice, whether or not it's illegal or health threatening. That depends on the individual. But everybody has a vice. You know, Robin Williams battled his demons, and I'm going to say right now, Robin Williams beat his demons in a way. Because either he allegedly committed suicide, we do not know if that's confirmed, whether his passing or not. That man battled his demons literally till the day he died. I consider it a win. I really do. And I may get ostracized for that, or I may be told that I'm an asshole. Because of him passing doesn't mean that he lost. I really believe that. We don't know what was going on in his head. You know, when we say mental illness, everybody thinks insane, straitjackets, padded room. That's not the case, man. Mental illness could be as minor as something less than depression. Listen, I could classify my hyperthyroidism that I have to take medication for once a day as a mental illness, as your thyroid controls everything in your entire body. Everything. Between hormones, heartbeat, everything. Blood pressure, it controls everything. You could classify me as if I'm not on my meds, I may have a form of mental illness. That doesn't, you know, that's serious. You know, it's not all about the insane, the multiple personalities, the crazies. You know, and the minute you say mental illness, everybody gets that stereotype, and it's like, oh, he's weak. Really? How about I put you in his fucking shoes for 24 hours? You tell me how weak you feel. You know, what you have to deal with on a daily fucking basis.
What's cool is he was able to make jokes of his situations too. I just looked at one of his famous quotes. You know, we all know he was addicted to coke.
Oh yeah.
But he said, "Cocaine is God's way of saying you're making too much money."
That's awesome.
So I mean, he even made jokes about his addiction.
But you know, can we say that he was joking about it to maybe divert the reality? You know, I don't want to say he's in denial because he came out of it. He's been clean for years.
Well, comedians use what happens in their life as their story. I mean, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast religiously, and he talks about, you know, things that he does in his life, you know, they're going to show up in his set.
Right.
I'm sure
most comedians, 90% of your comedians use real life experiences to make jokes of.
Right.
And no, I agree. It just bothers me that people out there right off the bat want to jump on, let's say, me or you or whoever because we're giving our respects on social media. Fuck you. You don't like it? Like I said, get off. Get off my feed.
I just think it's that way with all social media.
I think that's way with anything.
Who are you to say what the fuck I post?
Exactly. You don't like it? Get the fuck off. Seriously. You don't want to be a friend of mine? Woe is me. Just like I said at the end of my post. Woe is me. You don't like it? Oh, you're being emo. You're being this. But then get off. I didn't tell you. Yeah, I friended you. I didn't keep you. I didn't force you to stay. You don't like my Robin Williams? You don't like that I said something? Or you didn't like that I called you out? Too bad. Fucking unfriend me. I'm fine with that. And I'm saying this as an entertainer. I'm saying that someone who's not in the public eye like Robin Williams, but who is in the public eye. You don't like it? I don't give a shit. I'm real. A lot of people aren't. Obviously, these people that are making these stupid things, hiding behind, stupid jokes, they're hiding behind maybe their own issues. I'm real. You accept me for me, then I know that I have real fans, real friends. And that's all. That's it. If you don't like what I have to say, then unfriend me. You don't like what I have to say, don't listen to my podcast. That's how. I'm sorry. I mean, FBI After Dark, we've done 6, and it's been a while since we've done one. This is not that I'm fake on Inkcast or Infinite Crossover. This is me, the whole me. And I'm talking about great things on Inkcast, things that I enjoy with Joe Nub. I'm talking on Infinite Crossover, Josh Epstein, about things that I love and the topics we love. This is different. This isn't necessarily about comics. This is about my personal life. This is real life. What's affecting me? If you can't differentiate any of that, unfriend me. I think this is my campaign. Unfriend DW if you don't like what you have to see. And I express that to other people out there on Facebook that are listening right now. What's the problem? Tell people to unfriend you. Why are you so worried about what you put on your page? If you want to express yourself, why is that such a problem? You express yourself in person. It's a little easier to express yourself in text or 140 characters on Twitter. You know, it's immediate gratification. It makes you feel better. If other people are giving you shit for it, then tell them to unfriend you. Then they shouldn't be on your page. They shouldn't be in your life, in your real life. And, you know, I have people that will say shit on my Facebook feed and bitching about maybe what I said. They'll never say it to my face. What's up with that? Why? I mean, I don't need that. I don't need a fake person. Just like this Robin Williams stuff. My feed got blown up with a lot of great positive stuff. It only took like 10, 15 within minutes to be the dumbasses. Show some respect. I think society as a whole is lacking respect, whether you're a celebrity, a military man, a civilian, just a person in general. I think our society as a whole is showing a lack of respect. I mean, I don't know how you see that in your neck of the woods, Phil, but I really feel that there seems to be a lack of respect.
I just think this generation doesn't really respect anything anymore.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
I mean, and could we could turn it right around and bring it into our culture. What if fanboys, man? They are people that lack respect for others. They think they're the shit and that they're in. Well, I know what happened on page 44 in panel 3 or page 22 on page, panel 3 of Amazing Spider-Man. That's great. That's awesome that you know that. That's awesome. Don't make the person who doesn't know feel like a piece of shit. How about you inform them in a nice way and get them to be part of our culture and embrace it? They want to come into our culture. They want to come in and read comics. They want to know more about Spider-Man, and you're being the fucking douchebag who ruins it for the entire community. That's why that's why we named Fanboys Inc. for a reason. To take fans, put fan back into fanboys. It goes right back around with this Robin Williams bullshit. Respect the man. Not because he's just a celebrity. The man has touched so many people as a human being. I think that's what it comes down to, and people need to respect that.
I mean, he started. What is the charity, the comic something, where he got all the comedians together to raise money for the homeless.
Oh yeah, they did. They did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
they did like
huge
8
benefits.
of them.
Yeah, 8 huge benefits. Comedy relief, I think it was called.
I think something like that. And he's the one who decided that they should do it. You know, did he make jokes about the homeless? Yes, but it wasn't like it was jokes, not at their expense, but to raise awareness.
Exactly. You make jokes about it. Let's take what do we got here? Glenn McAvee, what's up, sir? Being on social media does not give you permission to be outright disrespectful. That's fucking well said. It doesn't. You know what that makes you? A fucking troll and an asshole. Unfriend me, or I'll unfriend you. Enough said. I have a forum, and I'm going to be an asshole about it. I have a forum. I can fucking broadcast this, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to take action, and that's what I did tonight. And I take action with Inkcast. I take action with Infinite Crossover. You take action with RSRG. You broadcast how you feel, what's going on, either entertainment, news, or your personal opinions. That's what we do. You want to?
I agree.
You know, you have. If you're listening and you're getting pissed off, pick up a fucking mic, asshole, and you do it.
That's one of the reasons I encourage so many people into podcasting. I mean, we all have a voice. We all want to be heard, like Kevin Smith says.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that we do what we do. We love what we do, and we like to give our opinion. And
exactly.
If you're not willing to put your own opinion out there, then don't bitch at the people who do.
If you're not willing to get a mic and broadcast it for just more than your 4 fucking friends, then I don't want to hear it. Yeah, I don't. Use the mic. Use what you have in front of you. Take the power and go and broadcast. Broadcast anything. You know, it just boggles my mind as far as the people that are ignorant and they're assholes. They're just assholes. And like I was trying to say, you know, you know, he's made Robin Williams joking about the homeless. Now we know Ralph Garman, and he has his Fry Girl. You got the Jim Rock Shakes. They're gonna come on St. Patty's Day. People giving him shit about that. Now I can see it. I'll give him props. You know, people might. You're making fun of the handicap and the disabled, but you know how many people. You know, who is it? Carlos Mencia. Back in the day, before he got. We're gonna go and ride the go-karts and we're gonna have fun. You know.
The funny thing about Mencia is he would actually go and make those jokes, you know, to those people.
Exactly.
That
was my point.
One of his specials, he actually talked about how he did a comedy special in front of a group of, you know, mentally challenged people, and he didn't do those jokes, and they were offended that he didn't do those jokes.
Obviously, before he got caught stealing somebody else's jokes, but he's even started out in his specials. He even got called out on one of his specials on Comedy Central with somebody who is mentally disabled because he wouldn't do the and he got called out on it because they enjoyed it. You know why they enjoyed it? Because it gave them attention and it brought light to the situation. We may make fun of it because we respect it to a point. Now, me saying that does not mean that you fucking made fun of Robin Williams within 30 minutes of his death with a Robbie Williams picture, or you're making some stupid quote of, well, you know, if he's in the museum after dark, he comes back to life. Go fuck yourself. That's different. That's totally different. And if you want to call me hypocritical, you can. It's totally fucking different. These people haven't passed away. They haven't died. These people are well aware of what Carlos Mencia is doing, and they enjoyed it. They understand it. They relate to that. Robin Williams can't relate to any of your fucking jokes because he's 6 feet under, you assholes. That's my point. With Carlos Mencia and Ralph Garman. Even Ralph pulled that joke, pulled that impersonation off his list. And every now and then, you listen to Hollywood Babylon, somebody asks for it, he will do it on request.
Yeah.
Is it bad? I don't think so. I don't.
All comedians do it.
Exactly. It's not racist. It's not, you know, Nub will call me out and go, oh, we have racist cats. Because why? Because I'll do, as I joke, a Ming Chen impersonation. You know how many comedians do impersonations? What makes that racist? It doesn't necessarily make it racist.
Well, my favorite comedian is Sam Carlin, and he had a fucking joke about quit sending money and food to third world countries, and let's send them U-Hauls to get them the fuck out of the desert. You know, a lot of people like, oh, you shouldn't make jokes like that. You know, it's not good for that. He's raising awareness. You know, that's an issue that is important, especially during the 80s.
I agree with you. Now, once again, I will say, though, at the same time, Phil, it is a fine line. Let's be honest. There is a fine line on what you can and can't say as a comedian. We all know that.
There's a difference between me and you saying that and someone who's a comedian saying that.
I agree. But we are entertainers. Well, we're not the big entertainers. Now, if we were as big as, let's say, Kevin Smith or bigger, we could get away with saying that because it would get some laughs. Now, you and I saying that in a public forum, let's say we're out at a bar somewhere, that might not go over so well because they're not our friends.
Well, you got to know your audience.
Exactly. You know, tonight's FBI After Dark is because of rest in peace Robin Williams, guys. Why I started this, if you're just joining us, because I see that we've gotten 7 new listeners that just popped in. This FBI After Dark was because I saw some really, I don't know, inappropriate jokes and listened to a woman in a restaurant talking about committing suicide is just for a week and fuck Robin Williams. That's why I had to have to do this special live broadcast. It's bullshit. You're ignorant. I'm calling you out. I don't care. You can send your hate mail to Twitter @FanboysInc. You can send direct messages to me at Facebook.com/FanboysInc. You're fucking ignorant. Get over it. You don't like what we have to say. I don't need you listening. I don't need you to be a friend of mine. I want true people. I want real people. How do I say? I respect your opinions, but really don't be a douchebag. A joke is not an opinion. There's a right time and a place for this, for anybody. And I'm not talking about a comedian or a military man or anybody. You start making jokes at a certain amount of time within minutes of somebody's death, I'm sorry. You got no place around me. Show some fucking respect. And you want to hide behind the fact that, oh, Robin Williams may laugh at that? You're right. Robin Williams may laugh at that. He also may fucking not. And you need to understand that. And you think you're funny? You're not. Show some fucking respect.
Even if he would laugh at it, his family's not.
You know what? You bring up a great point. Because what Robin might find is funny, the rest of the family and his friends may not. And
he has a 25-year-old daughter that just turned 25.
She's not going to find any of this shit funny.
No,
definitely
exactly.
not. So, you know what? When you put it out on social media, fucking think twice. Because you think that you're putting out to the one person, to the 5 people, 10 people, you might be getting a little more because more people see it than what's on your friend list sometimes, and you affect a lot of people by that. So think twice before you fucking say anything. And you may say, well, DW, you should think twice about what you say on your microphone. Guess what? I've thought more than twice, 3, 4 times. I don't care. I take responsibility for what I say and my actions. That's why we have FBI After Dark. It may not happen every month, but it's random, and I take responsibility for it. You have something to say to me, like I said, I'm calling you out. Come on over to Twitter, @Fanboys Inc. Direct message me at facebook.com/Fanboys Inc. How about you give me an email so you don't have to worry about, only 140 characters. fanboysinc@gmail.com. Tell me what you feel. Oh, and by the way, we got a new Inkcast coming out on Wednesday. Shameless plug. New Inkcast coming out on our new Infinite Crossover on Thursday. Don't forget to check out tonight, Phil, of course,
yep.
RSRG. New RSRG Entertainment podcast came out today talking about San Diego?
Guardians.
Guardians, yes, Guardians. Well, Wait a minute. Before we go, rest in peace, Robin Williams. You have my respect till the day I die. You affected my life in so many ways that I can't explain here. I'm probably going to go watch a couple movies before I go to bed and lose some sleep, but you've affected me. You've made me laugh. You've made me cry. You are an amazing person, not just as an entertainer. You're an amazing human being. Godspeed. We talked really quick, Phil, on Infinite Crossover that was recorded yesterday. That'll be up in just a few minutes tonight about San Diego Comic-Con suing Salt Lake City. Give me your quick 2 to 3 minute synopsis on what your thoughts are about that, if you have any.
Well, I still believe this will be settled out of court, not because of the issue. I just think the courts are going to, the judge, I believe, will encourage this because, let's face it, this is a stupid lawsuit that is going to take up time that a serious lawsuit could be going on with. It is a civil case, but you also have more important civil cases out there. There's only so much time on the court docket. I believe it'll be settled out of court. I think it's stupid. Was it poor taste what they did? Yes, but San Diego should, it's going to make them look bad. I agree with that. But I understand if they're not, what they're suing for is stupid. There's no copyright infringement. They're not using their logo. They're not using the Comic-Con.
They didn't fucking do anything illegal, period.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So there's all you can get them for is maybe business, but guess what? That's not illegal. They don't own the street.
Definitely not. Totally agree.
They don't own the city of San Diego.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, could it have been
well, if you're going to get on
but I'm telling you from a marketing and graphic design person, San Diego ain't got no fucking case. And I'll tell you what, if I had an R8 plastered with Salt Lake City logos all over the place, where do you think I'm going to go to help promote my con? At one place that has a shit ton of people.
The thing I think about is they're not getting on to all the shit the Nerdist Network was doing at Petco Park.
Yeah, right?
That's taken away from them. Look at how much shit goes on in the city of San Diego during San Diego Comic-Con.
You make a great point.
I mean, the whole Petco Park is full.
I think this is so fucking petty. It's unreal. It's a waste of time and resources and money. It's just pointless. You lost in '96, San Diego, when you tried to go against Chicago. Guess what? You lost. Why? You think you're going to win again? I do feel, though, I disagree with you, and I hope I'm wrong.
I'm just saying
I
that
just
because
don't think it's going to get settled out of court. I think Salt Lake City is going to take this all the way to the bank to prove a point, to take the big boy on the block and tell them to go screw themselves. We won.
My background is somewhat in my background is in media and criminal justice, and I've worked in a law office, so I have saw some cases. That's what kind of makes me think that way.
Okay.
I mean, I agree they're going to be fucking dicks about it, but that's what makes me kind of think it'll be settled out of court.
Okay. You think Salt Lake City is going to have to pay San Diego?
I think maybe, but I don't know. I just think
it's the restitution. You can't prove that you lost money. The people that went to
I don't know that it'll be that. I think it'll be more of maybe setting. I don't know what it'll be. I think
you heard it. You listened last
night. Maybe pay legal fees.
You listened last night, right?
Right.
Now, I think that if anything, they're gonna get a like a restraining order. You can only come like 10,000 feet around, or you can't drive the car within a mile radius. I really hope that doesn't come to that, but that's the only thing I could see out of this whole thing.
If that happens, I mean, cool. I mean, I would rather that happen than it fuck all the other cons over.
Yeah, because if San Diego wins, you just fucked every con
I can't even
in
believe
the United
that
States.
I can't believe they gave them the copyright in the first place for San Diego. I mean, for Comic-Con.
They
because
give them a trademark.
It's so general.
It's so general, but you can get away with it. There's ways around it. Obviously, they lost the Chicago case in '96, so give me a break. So now we have to put Albany Comic Convention. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, fuck yourself.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe that it's such a broad term that I can't even believe they got the copyright for it in the first place.
Yeah, neither do I. It wasn't a copyright; it was a trademark, which is the difference. But,
well, they go through the same office.
Yeah, but it's a different statute.
I know.
But still, it's crazy. But anyway, hear more about that on Infinite Crossover, which will be out later tonight. Guys, I want to get back to this before we're going to part off right now. We've been on for a while. Thank you for all the listeners. You guys are awesome. I mean, this is one of the most listened podcast, period, FBI After Dark. Godspeed to Robin Williams, and to you assholes that feel that you think you're funnier and you think you're trying to be funny like Robin Williams, go fuck yourself. Just like Phil says at the end of his podcast. There's no place and time for this at this moment in time. Show some fucking respect. And if you call out a person for putting on their Facebook page out of showing respect to Robin Williams, you're a piece of shit. You know what? You don't know what Robin Williams did for them. Oh, it's just a movie or TV show. You still have no fucking clue what that person had to go through or how that movie affected them and how any actor affects, or any show for that matter, affects an individual person. Think twice before you fucking post something on Facebook. If you don't, you might end up with a lot of less friends. Phil, you got anything to say?
Well, I just want to give some respect to Robin Williams himself, and my final words is, "Oh, Captain, my Captain."
As in the famous words of Philip Broyles.
Robin Williams himself.
That's right. And in the famous words of Philip Broyles, go fuck yourself.
Fuck yourself.